What up, gang? Line Carolina Jackpot time coming at you. It's Friday morning. I hope everyone is doing well today. Listen, if you're new around here, give some consideration to staying true around here by clicking the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel if you're not subscribed to it already. Do college football content here all year long. And we have a heck of a good time doing it, too. Okay, folks, we're going to not talk about SEC schedules for 2024 getting today like we've been doing the past couple of weeks today. It's a South Carolina-centered show. It has finally happened. Former Gamecocks wide receiver coach, most recently Gamecocks tight end coach, Justin Stepp, has left the program. He is going to be the wide receivers coach at Illinois for Coach Brett Bielema, the Fighting Illini. This is not a real shocking move to most Gamecock fans. As you know, he was kind of shifted into the vacant tight ends coaching role last month with the departure of Jody Wright for Murray State as the head coach. And in comes James Coley, former Texas A&M assistant coach, who's also been a coordinator at Miami. He's been the coordinator at Florida State and at Georgia. Brings over 2 decades worth of coaching experience in and recruiting experience as well. Should be a pretty good, solid pickup for Shane Beamer there. You hate to lose a guy like Justin Stepp. He was from South Carolina, played his college football in South Carolina, has held numerous coaching positions within the state of South Carolina. At Furman, he's been at North Greenville, Clemson, and now at South Carolina. He's also been a wide receivers coach at Arkansas and a couple of other stops as well. But he's a former wide receiver. He wants to coach wide receivers. That's what he does. That's what he do. So he didn't want to be the tight ends coach, apparently. This is from one Tony Morrell over at thebigspur.com. He says, I'm not surprised Justin Stepp is Spartan, South Carolina. I am surprised he's heading to Illinois, but there were limited options available this time of year. I mean, it is a Power 5 job at a Power 5 program. Illinois, not exactly known for throwing the ball around a lot. That's kind of a ground and pound style offense there. Has been, especially under Bielema, has been there for, I want to say 5-6 years now. Departure was inevitable since he's moved from wide receivers to tight ends. He played receivers and only wants to coach receivers, and the move would be viewed as a demotion in the coaching community. Going from coaching around 15 scholarship players to 3 or 4 is a big drop in responsibility unless you're moving to quarterbacks. I believe he gave South Carolina the best he had and an often tough situation to sell. Not so sure about that. He had some highs and lows, with the development of Xavier Leggett being the highest. I think Shane Beamer knew Stepp would likely leave when he made the decision to move him. Only time will tell whether there's a choice that will pay dividends, but Beamer believes they need to be significantly better at the receiver positions going forward. And that is very, very true. In the 3 years that Stepp coached the wide receivers there, it seems like we've had one guy each year who was the guy. And then outside of that, I mean, there just wasn't a lot there. I mean, we had Josh Vann as the guy. Then Juice Wells was the guy. Last year, Xavier Leggett was the guy. I mean, and not a lot else around him. Omega Blake was a player that I think probably could have gotten some more targets his way. Didn't. He left, went to East Carolina. That was one of the moves that they talked about here. You had some players that transferred out. Just not a great situation. I mean, and should have been a lot better. I mean, you had a guy who's probably going to go in the second round of the NFL draft who was throwing to him. Just the fact that we haven't been able to produce any more quality receivers than just one a year, even though the one a year that we've had has had a huge, massive breakout year. You got to think a lot of that's on that player. A lot of it is on the player himself. Xavier Leggett last summer worked out all summer with Deebo Samuel, former Gamecock, present-day San Francisco 49er. They got to have a big hand in that too. So, and at the end of the day, I mean, this is an assistant coach who left. Okay, it's an assistant coach. He was an okay recruiter. He wasn't a great recruiter. I mean, we like to sit around and say, well, we're recruiting good. Well, yeah, we're recruiting good, but I think we still ended up finishing about 12th in the SEC. I mean, that's not great. I mean, and we're just, we got to step it up. No pun intended. We've got to step it up recruiting-wise. So South Carolina should be finishing at least middle of the pack to upper half of the pack if they really want to elevate this program to where we want it to be at. So, I mean, good luck to Justin Stepp. Where does Shane Beamer turn from here to the tight end coaching position? I'm not sure. I mean, they act like it's not a huge responsibility, but it is. You know, we've used the tight end a good bit in our offense, and I can see them using it a good bit more going forward, especially with a redshirt freshman that's probably going to be starting at quarterback. You think he probably mixed it up a little bit and get them involved. Joshua Simon was a guy who was a big get for us. It turned out being that we got from the transfer portal out of Western Kentucky last year as a tight end and had a really good season this year on some limited touches of the ball. And then they bring in Brady Hunt, the guy who was going to come to South Carolina. Then he said he was going to go to Texas A&M. Then he ended up saying committed to South Carolina, and he's going to be a decent weapon. So we're going to need someone in there to coach these guys up. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a huge position to fill, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do it. So he's going to have to get onto it. This is a make or break year for Shane Beamer. He has another losing year this in 2024. I really don't know if he'll be retained for 2025. I mean, it kind of depends on a lot of things. It depends on the buyout, which at this point I'm not really sure what that is. He did receive a huge raise from 2022 going into 2023. I mean, it was an absolutely massive raise. I mean, this guy's salary went up over, what was it, up like 150% raise from what he was making, which you can argue that it was earned. You can argue that he deserved it, and you can argue that he didn't. I think that's one of the downfalls there of Ray Tanner as athletic director of South Carolina, that he's drawing up and then getting approved these massive contract extensions and big raises for guys that really have not done enough, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of fans out there, to warrant getting them. So we'll have to see on that. They have the money to buy him out. If they need to fire him, they can do it, but it might set them back financially a little bit. But you can't continue going down this path. And as I've said before, you've heard me say on our live shows and other videos that he probably would have a mulligan going into this new tight SEC schedule without a Spencer Rattler, without some other pieces that we've lost with such a tough schedule in 2024. But having that losing record in 2023, you lost your mulligan there, pal. You lost your mulligan. I mean, you can't continue to have losing seasons and stay around. And there are a lot of people also that were saying some stuff here about how, being moved from wide receiver coach to tight end coach, if you say it's a drop in responsibility and a demotion in the coaching community, our head coach was a tight ends coach before he came here. What does that say about him? Yeah, but he was also the assistant head coach at Oklahoma, okay? He had a lot more responsibilities than just coaching the tight ends. I think he just coached tight ends so that he could be the assistant head coach and have all the massive responsibility that entailed. So, hey, at the end of the day, they'll move on and they'll be just fine. If you enjoyed the content here today, like I said, give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys later on. I appreciate it. Peace, and I'm out of here. Go Gamecocks. Woo!